Jews, I tell you most solemnly, whoever keeps my word will never see death. The Jews said, Now we know for certain that you are possessed. Abraham is dead, and the prophets are dead, and yet you say, Whoever keeps my word will never know the taste of death. Are you greater than our father Abraham, who is dead? The prophets are dead too. Who are you claiming to be? Jesus answered, If I were to seek my own glory, that would be no glory at all. My glory is conferred by the Father, by the one of whom you say, He is our God, although you do not know him. But I know him, and if I were to say I do not know him, I should be a liar, as you are liars yourselves. But I do know him, and I faithfully keep his word. Your father Abraham rejoiced to think that he would see my day. He saw it and was glad. The Jews then said, You are not 50 yet, and you have seen Abraham? Jesus replied, I tell you most solemnly, before Abraham ever was, I am. At this they picked up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and left the temple. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
May the words of the Gospel wipe away all our sins. Now we've been working our way through John's Gospel right the way through our Lenten season for our weekday morning masses. And time and again we see in St. John's Gospel these encounters and sometimes confrontations and challenges. So recently we had the woman at the well, we had the man who was born blind, the wedding feast at Cana is early on in John's Gospel, the loaves and the fish, and each time there's an encounter and an exchange and a dialogue. It seems that if St. John is drawing us into these moments when Christ's identity and his mission are being challenged, so that we will be in the scene, as it were, too, and challenged in the same way. And Jesus' famous words there in Mark's Gospel, but who do you say I am? So it comes down to faith in him. And that's what's at stake here in today's Gospel too. So you look at the woman at the well, she went from, not knowing where she was or who she was worshipping and all the men she had been with, still not satisfying the longing she had for authentic love and life, and then coming to faith, her journey to faith. Nicodemus is there in John 3, and we see him through John's Gospel. He appears another couple of times, but he comes at night time at first, and then he's journeying in to the point where he's witnessing to Christ at the end, again to faith. John 6 again, the loaves and the fish, they still don't quite get it. All that are left at the end by John 6:66 is the apostles, and will you also walk away? So again, the choice is theirs. Many left him that time. They couldn't tolerate the teaching. And Peter says, Lord, to whom shall we go? Again, it's not the Lord isn't imposing himself on us. He's simply engaging these dialogues, these confrontations, if you will, and challenging us in the same way to believe in him. So the conversation in John 8 then with the Jews, they are trying to discover who Jesus precisely is. And he speaks to them in slightly veiled language, but when they surely hear those words, I tell you most solemnly, before Abraham ever was, I am, that's what they picked up stones, because they realized then he was identifying himself as God. I am who I am. Yahweh, of course, is the Hebrew. So this is why they put him to death in the end. They refused to accept it. It would mean a complete shift of their thinking and their understanding. And what's at stake is simply the fulfillment of the covenant that's spoken of in the other readings for us. The old covenant established with Abraham and the promise that accompanies that, making him a father of a great nation. And we today then, as children of Abraham, see that covenant now fulfilled in the person whom Abraham prefigured, that is Christ, because he has come to fulfill all of these promises, the law and the prophets, in his very person. and all comes to a head in him. So we too are posed that question today. Who do we say the Lord is? Who do we claim him to be? And are we willing also to bear witness to him?